What's up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven here with your afternoon snap, and I just hosted a Marvel Snap tournament, but with bans, because I figured y'all have probably seen enough Thanos recently, so I wanted to shine the spotlight on some other cards that can be competitive in his absence. The winner of this event will be invited to participate in the Marvel Snap Golden Gauntlet, which Second Dinner was nice enough to provide me with an invitation to as an official Marvel Snap content creator. So we've got some big stakes on the line here. Here's the format for the tournament. Each round, after you are paired with your opponent, you will each ban 3 cards. And for this first round, we're going to watch from the perspective of Cheese Wizzy, who banned Shadow King, Shang-Chi, and Thanos. They're going to be playing up against Kingpin, who banned Mr. Negative, Galacta, and Sam Wilson. Now, I'm not going to break down the draft for every round of this event. We're going to kind of do like an edited look at some highlights from the various rounds, and then we're going to look at both semi-final matches and the final match. So we've got a lot to cover in this video, but I did want to talk about some of the philosophy that the players might think of during the ban process, and this was just something that I laid out in the event info. You could use your bans to try to take out some format all-stars like Thanos and Sam Wilson if you're sick of playing up against those cards. Another angle to take, though, is to ban tech cards that could be good specifically against your deck, and I think that's what we see Cheese Wizzy do here. Another option is to just ban cards that you don't own, since they potentially allow your opponent to play some strategies that you wouldn't be able to play. So this first round winds up being a really interesting look at what players do in Marvel Snap when they know no one is bringing Shadow King or Shang-Chi. Psylocke into Quantum Tunnel could bring out a Destroyer. It does 16 power. Krakoa could be good. We aren't going to see the Krakoa on the Nimrod, though. We could see Krakoa land on a Human Torch. That could be a pretty crazy play. Madam Web going to dodge the Krakoa for now. We could see a Vulture this turn into Krakoa, have that trigger go on a Human Torch, and then Kingpin is looking real good. Luna Snow is a fantastic card to give +6 power with Krakoa, and if this lands on Black Panther, both of these players have a doubler in their deck with no Shadow King or Shang-Chi. So if Luna Snow gives +6 power to a Black Panther, we are looking at a really good position. Doctor Strange going to move around the Human Torch, and then we're going to see a few more Human Torches come down. I haven't been paying too much attention to exactly what Kingpin's been doing over there, to be totally honest, but I was pretty confident it was going to be enough, though. I mean, no, yeah, it's way more than enough. Yeah, more than 20 power at every location. 23 power specifically does seem to be a breakpoint that Cheese Wizzy's deck might have difficulty overcoming, but we'll see if they are able to overcome it in one of the next 2 games. That's not going to be enough. GG's there to Kingpin, but Black Panther is able to take it home. Didn't even need the final double. It is able to get that final dub. We see a snap already with Surge into no turn 2 play. That's just snappable. This is Marvel Snap right now. If you have a play on turn 2 and your opponent doesn't, that is a lot of pressure. Cheese Wizzy is playing like some interesting kind of tech angles with the tech angles that still exist, though I guess that was last round that they banned the Shadow King and Shang-Chi. But You're Muted is just playing the best cards pound for pound in Silver Surfer, not trying to do anything fancy, and playing Copycat in a Silver Surfer mirror match has got to be good. Now, this game, we just see a subterraneous snap, and that's all it takes. Cheese Wizzy drew a rock, but they also drew a retreat out of You're Muted with that snap, and now we are moving into the high stakes rounds, 5 cubes to 9. Icebox going to hit Negasonic Teenage Warhead, but Surge could make for some cheaper cards that could heat up some cards that the Icebox is making a little bit more expensive. Lemuria is going to delay that a little bit here, though. And I think we're just going to see a pretty straightforward curve of surge into either Gladiator or Brood. Depends what this third location winds up being. Hala. Well, now it's certainly Gladiator, which battles for Hala, but I think potentially more importantly sets you up to just play Galacta into Hala next turn, win that location, and then play a Brood into either Icebox or Lemuria for the final turn, giving you priority, which could allow you to play Negasonic Teenage Warhead plus a surged Silver Surfer. Going to be a surged Sebastian Shaw, but that can still be a great play on the final turn if we are pumping it up with Brood. I think Cheese Wizzy has found a winning line here. They just have to make sure that they have priority going into this final turn. And I think they can basically, they could also they could just play Seabass. Well, I mean, you probably want to play Seabass with your Galacta buff. And then getting rid of Surge, so this gives you another Surge trigger to potentially play Negasonic plus a Silver Surfer on the final turn. I had a slightly different curve in my head, but I think that this one is also good. Captain Carter, Silver Surfer, both of those are fantastic hits. And after eyeing up those potential hits, we're going to see a snap come down from Cheese Wizzy, and potentially this game could tie this match up. So we are now in it for 4 cubes. We're going to be taking out that Surge before it flips up, which means we are not going to see Surge reactivate here. Gwenpool's going to pump something up, and then this has to be a Surge card. This is a Surged Forge, which is not going to re-surge. Now, for the final turn, we are just going to see a Brood from Galacta, and then a 4-power Fenris Wolf. That's all she wrote. I mean, Killmonger is just less points here than just playing a Fenris Wolf, so we are eventually going to come to that conclusion. And is your Muted going to have enough points? I mean, with Gwenpool, it is possible. We just see a big enough Brood to take Hala and a big enough point swing in either Lemuria or Icebox. What is it going to be exactly, though, from your Muted? This looks like a big Brood. That is a huge Brood, probably even way too big. Is the Sage big enough? The Sage is big enough, and your Muted takes the match. We're going to see a Juggernaut come into Auto Slab and Sasquatch that's knocked over into Kiln. That is going to be way too much power at that location, unfortunately. And these are really big comebacks now that we would need on the final turn. That's just going to have to be a retreat from Cheese Wizzy. It's going to be a snap from Hippoclips as well. A little bit of a boomer snap, as we've already seen the retreat roll out. That's really a boomer snap. When you are snapping after your opponent has already retreated, yeah, I mean, it might have been right at about the same time there. But we are now going to see both of these players tied up at 8 cubes apiece. Down 2 cubes as we move into round 4. Copycat is on, paying attention this time, Eliath, it looked like to me. Savage Land going to add some Raptors that will make for a cheaper Mockingbird. Should we find that Space Throne a pretty good location from Hippoclips? We see the snap come out, and it is an immediate retreat for Cheese Wizzy. Don't want to get dragged in. One of your Raptors gets dragged in there by Polaris. Then you've just basically lost the game already. That is not what you want to be doing. So we are going to see a retreat there, and now we are in high stakes mode. Hawkeye is a pretty good card. Oh, and we have, was that Red Guardian again? I did not quite see it on that one. Kingpin is, as far as we've seen, the only 1-cost card in Hippoclips deck. We have not seen Batroc the Leaper, so that is an interesting card, and interesting locations here too, with Raft looking to get filled, Scream, and Asgard with a Kingpin. So Hawkeye going to generate some arrows that could potentially fill the Raft. That is an interesting aspect of this. Copycat does come down with priority here. Absolutely huge. These Copycats being able to take out Scream. Will we see a snap? No snap here from Cheese Wizzy as they remove their opponent's Scream with a copycatted Red Guardian yet again. Juggernaut going to knock the Copycat into Asgard. I mean, oh, the Kingpin does make that slightly worse, but still, I'll take 3 more points over in Asgard before that location pops off. I think that's pretty good. We're going to see Gwenpool come down into that location, and we also see a snap. This snap might be a little bit late. Hippo might just retreat to this. I think certainly Cheese Wizzy wins Asgard, though they don't really get that much to show for it, and Hippoclip dodges over into the raft, filling that location, which is important unless this is exactly a Spider-Man to finish it off, and now they have a 0 cost 6 cost card. Meanwhile, Cheese Wizzy draws a card they would have drawn anyways and doesn't get any extra value, but Mobius, the Mobius is absolutely huge here to strand Hippo with that 6 cost card in their hand. Another turn 5 cannonball, and this Mobius is looking like a 4 cube Mobius here for Cheese Wizzy. That's looking pretty good. I think we could have even potentially seen a snap, a double snap in high stakes mode. Is that even how that works? I don't even remember who has already snapped this game, to be totally honest. But all I know is that this game is currently looking pretty reasonable for Cheese Wizzy, getting to put a bunch of points into the raft while also battling for Asgard, if that's what they choose to do. And yeah, they could finish off with a Red Guardian for another 7-point swing. Red Guardian got one of the Gwenpool triggers. Where'd the other Gwenpool triggers go? Did one go into Kitty Pryde and the Kitty Pryde had been kingpinned already? I don't remember that happening. Sorry, I feel like I'm like misremembering some of the things that have happened in this game. Is Magneto insane here? Did Magneto just cancel out a Pym arrow? And is Red Guardian not going to be enough? Wow, this is a 7 cube game, and that's it. That's the match. Hippoclips takes it with a Magneto to advance into the finals of this Golden Gauntlet qualifier. That was quite a game. I think we are going to see a Killmonger come down here. No, this is a death into the Space Throne. So what that Deadpool doing? This has got to be a Killmonger in Pit of Exile to clean up that Deadpool. I forgot that players couldn't even play big cards into Pit of Exile until just this second right now. Then Silver Surfer into Pit of Exile. Is this enough? Bar with No Name is lost. Space Throne is lost for one of these players, respectively. So this is no longer a differential game unless we see a Killmonger here. We could see a Killmonger here. This could also just be a game where whoever wins Pit of Exile wins the game. So that looks like you're muted. But the one place... Oh, this could be the Hood. If this is the Hood into Bar with No Name, this is a brilliant bait here from Kingpin to swing that center location in their favor. They do not have any location changing effects with Nico Minoru, at least that I would think of. So how are they going to swing this one in their favor? Why is that Deadpool in the center location? It's just going to be a retreat. How sweet would that have been, though? We see Surge. Surge is already a little bit of an atypical card in Destroy. What if we saw the Hood come out? They could try to get Captain Carter into Nidavellir, but not also with this Forge. So I think we might just see a Captain Carter come down into Throne Room, for instance. It's not great in Throne Room, but it can't really get played anywhere else. This is where the current Silver Surfer decks start to look a little bit awkward, and we've seen that in this match and in some previous matches where there's just no really satisfying plays. You're always missing out on some amount of value, and you're picking up some value elsewhere, but it's like, okay, do I want to play my Captain Carter and get the Forge bonus while the Bifrost is still active, or do I want to hang on to Captain Carter so I can give it Gwenpool bonus, but then this turn I'm playing like a way too early Sage or Silver Surfer, and those get my Forge bonuses, and those are obviously just terrible plays. We are ultimately going to see a snap, which brings out a retreat from our perspective here. And again, a turn 1 Zabu, though these Zabus have not been super killer, to be totally honest. Forge can come down turn 2, and Forge can pump up an Enchantress. I was waiting to see, because I was doing the math. I was like, okay, we've seen Gwenpool, we've seen Galacta. I don't think that's enough fours to justify a Zabu, but Enchantress for this null could be a huge tech card. And now We are going to see some huge plays in this game. Forge is going to hit Gwenpool, which is a little bit awkward potentially. But Gwenpool could hit Brood once or twice and it'll all look good. Let's see how lucky do we get. Not lucky at all. So might have been better off just playing the Brood down this turn. Instead, we've got a big Red Guardian and a big Enchantress. That could be some nice power to be saved for the final turn. So that's still pretty interesting. This turn we can see Red Guardian onto Surge, and that's a lot of points in Big House. Plus, then just hanging on to Enchantress for later on into the game. I do think that we're going to have to see that here just because it's a reasonable enough use for Red Guardian. No, we're thinking about Brood, thinking about passing even. Well, with Elysium, all of these cards are going to be cheap enough that we might just be able to find room to play them on future turns. Carnage is going to destroy that Wolverine and that X-23. So Kingpin is going to have a pretty good run with just like a Death and Null final turn. That might be scary though. We know they haven't drawn their Death at least already as we see this free copycat come out. Might as well run it out there. That'll give you a free, another Surge trigger rather. We are going to see your Muted hang onto it. There is some interesting mind games with Copycat. Hanging onto a Copycat lets your opponent think that you don't know about them not having something. I think I'm not really wording this the best, but basically Kingpin now has the opportunity to bluff having Death, and your Muted knows that they don't have it. Your Muted will get to play all three of these cards on the final turn and without priority. So Enchantress could potentially be catching a Null here. They just have to hope. And Null does not get played into the Big House. It just can't. So Null is likely to come down into Elysium. How many other points are going to come down into the Big House? Are we going to see that Death drawn from Kingpin? That will be the big question. Could see Arnim Zola on Venom. No, we can't see Arnim Zola on Venom because Arnim Zola cannot be played into the Big House, and we are playing for a bunch of cubes here. No, we are playing for 2 cubes here, and the players nearly tie it up. 5 cubes from Kingpin to 6 cubes from your Muted. I thought we might get a big blowout there with a free Copycat, plus a bunch of other cheap stuff on the final turn with that Enchantress as well. That's the big one, if Enchantress can surprise a Null, but at least we are not going to see that come to fruition in this game. We are going to see an immediate snap from Kingpin on Madripoor because they could immediately start pumping a Deadpool, getting a free +2 power on Deadpool on turn 1 when you know your opponent just has 0/1 cost cards in their deck. Then turn 2 you can Carnage to destroy that Deadpool. It's 6 power already. That is, oh wait, there's Zabu. There's Zabu from your Muted, but they were willing to snap. I guess either way, even in a tie, you get the +2 power on Deadpool. So it's worth snapping because your +2 power can be taken so much further than your opponent's +2 power. And now, yeah, we're still neck and neck, 4 cubes to 5. Enchantress drawn yet again. We do have the turn 1 Zabu. But are we going to see a turn 3 play from that? World Forge is going to make this game go absolutely crazy. Replace one of the other locations each turn. Space Throne temporarily makes an appearance. We'll see how long that one sticks around. We're either losing Space Throne or Dark Dimension. World Forge, a crazy location fitting of a final game. This could be the final game in the match. No guarantee, of course. We're going to see Deadpool now get destroyed up to 2 power. And what could Surge destroy here? Galacta would cost 2 off the top. It's a little bit awkward on the curve. We do see it, and Deep Space is the location for it. We're just going to play Galacta into World Forge. Hope that, well, either way, either Deep Space or Dark Dimension is going away here, and either way that will set us up to play into, to give additional stats onto Galacta next turn. We see Killmonger come down, destroy the Deadpool, and importantly, kill that X-23 that might have otherwise been a little bit trickier to clean up. Though X-23 landing there is a little bit awkward, that means that something like a Venom or a Carnage won't be able to destroy both a Deadpool and an X-23 this turn. And with Tarnax 4, World Forge is really having a run of it this game. That is not a good... Oh, you know what? That's a fine location for Gwenpool. We can take that. We can take a Gwenpool. This will remove the Galacta buff, though. So neither player is really getting all of the value that they want to with this, but still, Gwenpool pumping up some cards in your hand and then turning into a different 4-cost card. What could that be? It could be Fanfei. It could be another Galacta. That would be good. We are just going to see a Carnage into World Forge for Kingpin. That X-23 is going to land in deep space. The extra energy is the important part. Oh, and Surge could also turn into a better 2. It does. Medusa, pump up the top of your deck, plus get an additional +3 power on yourself is pretty good. The thing is what Gwenpool turns into, so it's just going to lose the Galacta buff. That is functionally all that one did. World Forge now takes out deep space. X-23 can move again. Morag could be, so yeah, again, like here we have that same Galacta Morag awkwardness. We can't use Captain Carter in Morag and have it gain the Galacta and the Forge buff. All we can do is play Enchantress into Morag, have it take off some of that power. We can have Sage take the Forge buff, and then we can have Captain Carter or Enchantress come down. These are fine plays. These are reasonable plays. World Forge as the final game of your match is a little bit of a regrettable position, but we're going to see Enchantress come down into Morag, which, I mean, is really just battling hard for that location. I don't think we're expecting to see Null there exactly, but it just wouldn't have made any sense to play Sage anywhere else. It looks like this might be Death coming out for Kingpin based off how many cards are hitting the table this turn. We're going to see a Death. We're going to see a Deadpool. Death always transforms into Death. That is worth noting. Deadpool is not enough for World Forge. Shang-Chi is enough to take out Enchantress, and Death is able to do it. Death into Tarnax plus Shang-Chi. I've got to take out my headphones here. I'm also getting Hippo Clips audio. They are also recording this game, and you can check out their coverage with their commentary on their YouTube channel of this entire event. But I am also going to shoutcast it here. I'll leave a link to Hippo Clips' channel in the video description. And we are on to the finals. It is Silver Surfer with Sam Wilson and Galacta both unbanned. The most common ban of this tournament was Thanos. Then after that, I think it was both Sam Wilson and Galacta. You know what? It might have been Mr. Negative. A lot of people banned Mr. Negative. They did not want to see that one. So let's see now what Silver Surfer, probably the most played archetype in this format, gets up to in the finals. Nobody wanted to touch Silver Surfer all night long. At least nobody wanted to ban Silver Surfer. A Galacta from Sakaar is a pretty good hit. Frigga? Frigga could be all right. Frigga with cloning vats. We've seen Kingpin do some nice stuff. Both players on, I would say, their main deck. Hippoclips has at least played this previously in this event. Oh, wow. This is a Captain Carter pumped up by Galacta. They will now get to move over their Rocketing Groot and replay this Captain Carter for an 8-power captain in cloning vats here. This is absolutely massive. And then Makari comes down. No. Yeah, it's just Forge and then a huge Captain Carter, a 10-power Captain Carter. This is a snappable position from Hippoclips. They also move the Rocketing Groot. I don't think they even have to do that just yet. I think they should be snapping right about now. They're going to let it play out, though, and we'll see what Kingpin can get up to. Kingpin basically needs a Human Torch to have a shot. I think right now we are going to see Iron Fist plus Vulture, and then one other final card. Could this be a Toxin here coming out into Hellfire Club to give Kingpin multiple Vultures? Oh, it's another Frigga. It's another Frigga. I forgot, and Slash wasn't paying attention to that, but Frigga is going to come down. Makari is going to fill up Sakaar, but I don't think it matters. We get to see absolutely massive Captain Carters buffing this Silver Surfer and this Rocketing Groot, an even larger Captain Carter over in Hellfire Club. Still just playing it out for 2 cubes. I think I would have liked to seen a snap earlier from Hippoclips. Kingpin's doing some stuff here with Vulture, but nothing super crazy. All right, we do see the Boomer Snap come down. There we go, and not too many points over in Sakaar. That will be the most easily contestable location, and then Hellfire Club might actually need a few more points at it. But, I mean, you have to play for the cloning vats, right? With the pair of Captain Carters there. It's also a little bit misleading how much points are actually in that location because the rocketing route's moving out, so the other Captain Carter's going to shrink and just going to change around some stuff, but was looking pretty good there for Hippoclips in the first game, so they are able to take a cube. The shield from Sam Wilson plus Makari giving you 2 free cards to fill up locations for Captain Carter is pretty interesting. The Nexus is also a pretty fantastic Captain Carter location. Elysium, though, actually the Nexus is also a pretty good move bounce location, to be fair. And we are going to see a snap come down. I wasn't paying enough attention to even see who that snap was for. I think a forged Captain Carter is pretty good, though. And Sam Wilson to get that shield out of the Nexus. I feel reasonable about both of those plays, but we are going to see a ton of plays here from Kingpin. I mean, half of the cards in Kingpin's deck now cost 0 energy, which is pretty crazy. Ghost Spider going to move the Vulture into the Nexus. That's setting up for a Beast next turn, but Hippoclips is setting up for a big Captain Carter. Unfortunately, they draw the Galacta, which is now instead going to take that Forge buff instead of Peggy this turn, but now Peggy will be able to take the Galacta buff next turn. The following turn, we'll see Seabass get into the Nexus with that Peggy buff, or with that Galacta buff rather. This is just going to be a Dagger plus Toxin as a nice little setup here for Kingpin. Is that going to be enough, though? I don't think so. I think without Madam Web, a curve like this is looking pretty good for Hippoclips. Not playing US Agent, I feel like, yeah, US Agent could just get thrown away into Dream Dimension. Next turn, your cards are going to cost 1 more. That's just going to mean they cost what they cost. It's not a huge deal. Could even see like a Brood into a location, though maybe we'll see Brood get paired with Peggy next turn. I do think we are going to see just wanting to spend a little bit of the energy before the Dream Dimension comes out, but yeah, not even a huge consideration here, as they'll still be able to drop Seabass, Brood, and Silver Surfer on the final turn, and that's really all you need. Brood can easily fill up the Nexus, so, oops, apologies, I'm all over the place with this game's commentary. You know what, go check out Hippoclips' perspective. Juggernaut into the Nexus will be huge. You also don't really need to play the US Agent, though yeah, no, you do. In case you draw exactly Silver Surfer, then you just play Juggernaut, Silver Surfer into Nexus. So you want priority here. Priority becomes really important against move bounce. I could have even seen playing US Agent into the Nexus just to make sure you get priority, but I think you are going to get it. Madam Web is a lot of points, though. Will that be enough? Because now Vulture can move into the Nexus in a way that Juggernaut cannot prevent. So this is still potentially a little bit awkward. How will it ultimately shake out, though? I'm not sure. Because, yeah, I mean, Vulture gets in there for 22 points. How many points is Hippoclips putting into the Nexus? I mean, Peg is putting an additional 10, so it's 15. 19 points? Or, I'm sorry, 29 points. 29 points feels beatable, but not without priority. You would need to have... Yeah, I think that... Oh, wow. I think that Kingpin was actually going to lose that game. Unless, what am I missing exactly? It would need to be Iron Fist, but the Dagger was already played. I don't know. I think that that was a good position from Hippoclips. There's a lot on the line, so both players are going to make sure they give it their all. We see a snap come down from Kingpin, but we've got to turn to Sam, and the rest of the hand looks pretty well as well. No, are we going to see a retreat? Okay, finally, we see the snap accepted. Kingpin is snapping with that turn 2 Madam Web, best card in the deck, and also, I think that maybe Limbo is a location that Kingpin feels good about. They'll have an extra turn to move cards around with Madam Web. Meanwhile, Hippoclips is going to fill their locations with Brood, and it doesn't really get much better than that. They will have an extra opportunity to use Galacta specifically, but I'm not sure that it gets super crazy beyond that. Rocketing Groot into the Madam Web location is good, but now Topaz is going to allow them to completely dodge that Rocketing Groot. They get to play all of their cards into Topaz. Iron Fist off Sakaar, not doing too much, but Topaz is not a card I expected to see in the finals of this tournament. But when the bans come down, you got to fill your deck with some other cards. I mean, Sage wasn't banned. Kingpin is just playing Topaz for the splash here, and that's pretty exciting. So now we're going to see Brood come down into the Peggy location and fill her up. And I will say, Limbo does give Hippoclips additional time to draw Silver Surfer, but is that going to be enough? Oh, they already have Silver Surfer in their hand. I missed it with this crazy artwork. They're definitely a Silver Surfer fan with all of these variants specifically for Silver Surfer, but is Silver Surfer still going to be enough? I don't know. And then here is the other tricky part. Oh, that's curious. They could have played that Vulture into Topaz and avoided the Rocketing Groot. That's what I was about to talk about. Maybe Kingpin is not used to playing with Topaz and they forgot it was there, but Topaz allows them to completely dodge the Rocketing Groot in the center location, stopping the Madam Web. Red Guardian is banned, so they didn't really have to play around Red Guardian on Topaz, just potentially missed that interaction. But Human Torch is going to get moved over into Sakaar, picked up by Beast. Next turn, Iron Fist can pop it back into Madam Web's location, so that way we can move it around, and Juggernaut cannot even stop this, even Juggernaut with priority, because this Human Torch can just get played over into Sakaar, which is actually a good reason to potentially play cards not into Topaz. Now you don't have to worry about getting Juggernauted. Might not be the biggest deal anyways, but Vulture can now freely move wherever it wants. Iron Fist can move a Human Torch into Limbo and set up for a pretty big Human Torch move in wherever you want it on the final turn. All of that seems pretty good. Can Juggernaut do much of anything to stop this? I don't think so. It's got to be Juggernaut into Dream Dimension. But where do you go from there? Seabass plus Juggernaut, final turn. We are looking at Sage plus Silver Surfer. And how big is this Human Torch going to get exactly? Well, we'll see. Juggernaut completely avoided. The Topaz is just a bait. It is just a card to make you think you can play your Juggernauts there and have them do something, but we don't even care about it. Human Torch will get that into the Madam Web location with the Iron Fist, and then Frigga grabs an additional copy of it with Toxin to return all of these cards and now have no priority going into the final turn and a bunch of flexibility for how to play out your hand. We are going to see Makari plus Silver Surfer come down for sure for Hippoclips, and Silver Surfer onto Captain Carter is going to put a bunch of extra points into Sakaar. We also see a bunch of 3-cost cards over in Dream Dimension. We're going to pump that up with Galacta. We're going to play the Rocketing Groot there, and it could just be enough points. This could just be enough points over in Dream Dimension. We are basically throwing away Limbo, and we've got a fairly calculatable amount of points over in Sakaar, but it might just be enough points. It is +8, +6, no, plus an additional 4, so it's +12 points over in Sakaar, up to 24, and now that I've said that, I'm actually not so confident. I don't think that Sakaar is going to hold. Silver Surfer math is fairly easy to calculate if your opponent has already filled the location. Even though it's an extra 4 points from that Captain Carter, I don't think that that's going to hold down the fort. I think that Dream Dimension is going to be the more contested location, and that will be the real question, is what is the second location that Kingpin plays to, and will Hippoclips just put up enough points in Dream Dimension with this +10 from Silver Surfer, putting them up to 34 points there, that this one might get a little bit rough. It looks like they maybe played for Limbo and I'm not sure what the other location is going to be. The Human Torch moves over. Doctor Strange moves it over again to take out Sakaar. And then we've got another Human Torch into Dream Dimension. Topaz is going to move that one into Limbo. Double that up to 30. And Kingpin is able to take it for 4 cubes with a pair of Human Torches from Frigga. That is how Move Bounce gets it done and gets you 4 cubes. We are now 9 cubes to 4 with Silver Surfer falling with that game. And yeah, both of these decks, I think, fairly straightforward builds, like I said, of what you would expect. The BANS not really hitting these specific decks that hard, though leaning into making the players lean into specific archetypes potentially. Though what I was going to say is I do think that Hippoclipse's deck is missing that Red Guardian. That way to interact with Madam Web and Topaz are certainly a little bit to be missed here. We see the snap come down, and it looks like Hippoclipse is inching slowly towards that retreat button. Never mind, they've got their hand on the end turn, but it is once again a snap for Madam Web. Now, Aranya can move a card into that Madam Web location this turn and potentially hit it up with a Chimichanga. Well, Chimichanga can also be used to pump up Sebastian Shaw. That's what we're going to see here quite quickly from Hippoclipse. A nice little what is that, 7 power Seabass into the sewer system. Could have also been nice to see a Juggernaut this turn into sewer system as a move card being moved by Aranya this turn. I think it was pretty straightforward. That is going to be a 3, make that 6 power Human Torch into Madam Web. And now we are potentially going to see a 12 power Human Torch get doubled up by a Frigga this turn. Rocketing Groot hopes to sap a little bit of power out of that potentially frigged Human Torch, but I think that Kingpin is looking pretty good if they have the Frigga. If they have Beast or Vulture, those are other potentially good plans, but if they just have the Frigga, then we might be in for a stomping. Human Torch is going to move over into Tarnax, which I think it's going to be tough to catch it there, and Frigga does catch the Human Torch, which means now next turn Human Torch can just come down into the taco truck and get you another 24 power Human Torch at another location. That is all looking pretty good. US Agent, we're going to cycle that and hope to hit exactly a Shadow King. I think that that is the best possible hit in Tarnax. Otherwise, you might cycle Galacta in there, hope for Shang-Chi. Just play for the absolute RNG of it all and see what you can do. Juggernaut to knock your opponent out of Taco Truck with priority is a pretty good use of Juggernaut, and we are going to see that US Agent come down into Tarnax. I do believe, and I do think that is a rather good play. Rocketing Groot moves over into the sewer system this turn. Let's see, do they have a Ghost Spider? That would be potentially a way to upset this. No, we are just going to see Human Torch plus potentially like a Vulture come down into Taco Truck this turn while Frigga moves over into Tarnax. But both of those cards are going to go ahead and get out of the Madam Web spot. Does US Agent hit a Shadow King? No, it's Mirage, but the Human Torch was already played. Doctor Strange now puts both Human Torches into the sewer system where they cannot be Madam Web moves. It's actually Doctor Strange plus Vulture. So it was actually pretty unlucky to not steal your opponent's 14 power Human Torch with that Mirage. That's a bit of a bummer. I don't think you can battle for sewer system though, my friend. I think that one's going to be tough. You are currently losing by 8 points there. Silver Surfer can get you another 8 points. Or I'm sorry, you're losing by 18 points there. I mean, how many points is this Sage? Maybe it's possible. This is a full commit to this location, but that just guarantees you are losing the Taco Truck, doesn't it? And then you're just hoping that your opponent isn't going to play to Tarnax. I don't think this is a winning play from Hippoclipse, but they are into it. They are snapping. They can no longer retreat. This might be the final turn of the tournament here. I mean, they have enough points to overcome Sewer System, but at what cost? I guess the question is, if you can't reasonably expect any sort of power output in turn X4, do you just say, well, that's fine, I'm just going to run it in a location where my cards don't get transformed? Here is the flip from Kingpin. We're going to see a Medusa, a Human Torch, and a Ghost Spider to win Tarnax actually instead. So wait a minute. Oh, did we do it? Iron Fist, and then if Hippoclipse's math is correct and this wins Sewer System, oh, I don't know that it does. Is this a tie? It is a tie in the center and a loss on differential. An extremely close game, an extremely well-fought match by both of these players to make it to this point in the tournament. But Kingpin is going to take it home, and join me next weekend in the Golden Gauntlet. For today, that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.